Okay. Just up from the beginning of the Mishnah, we're not doing wrong. Okay. You have two partners, they buy a courtyard, and each one makes a neder that neither could benefit from the other. Neither are permitted even to walk into the chotzer. So the Ran explains that because even though it's something a person doesn't really mind, but the Tanakama holds, the Chacham hold, that vitur is also about no. Even things that people are willing to dismiss and not value, factually it's benefit, and therefore, based on the neder, therefore neither the shut from the partners are able to go into the chotzer. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov Omer is a nichlas toch shelo, is a nichlas toch shelo. Each one could go into the courtyard. So there's going to be a machlokes on the Gemara and Vavim Meveis. What kind of courtyard are we speaking about? Are we speaking about chotzer she'ein bo din chaluka, which means it's less than 8 amos, it's not divisible. So therefore, based on the principle of Breira, each one, when he goes into the courtyard, he's going to his portion. Or are we speaking, the Mishnah is speaking chotzer she'esh bo din chaluka. That's the machlokes. Chotzer she'ein bo din chaluka, everybody would agree it's permitted. Right? It's machlokes to Amoraim. What exactly is the case of the Mishnah? Is the argument even by chotzer she'ein bo din chaluka? Or no, chotzer she'ein bo din chaluka, everybody agrees you could go in the courtyard. They're arguing chotzer she'esh bo din chaluka, where it is divisible. We'll say, no, which means each one goes in at his time, at his period of time. Right? I can't, when it's your time of usage, I can't go in. Right, or the day. Right? It's like time sharing. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov Omer is nichlas toch hatzero, nichlas toch hatzero, toch shelo. Ushneim asurin l'hamid rechaim v'tanur u'legadol tarnugelim. What about to put a permanent fixture there? So which means your items could be even on during the other person's time, then you're not permitted. Right? Because even if you hold Breira, right? According to Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, it's based on the principle of Breira. I'm afraid that this is the time, this is my ownership time. Right? That's the principle of Yesh Breira. But if you keep the Tanur or Rechaim, which are permanent fixtures in the courtyard, so it comes out, your items there during the other person's time. The way we rule Aloch, the Maskon, it's between Chotzer she'ein bo din chaluka. Ein bo din chaluka. But even it's ein bo din chaluka, so when I use it, it's mine. When you use it, it's yours. But let's say I put it in my oven there, it's not taking it out every day. So that means it's even there on your time. Therefore, you can't leave it. That's the reason, okay? Now, the Mishnah says, let's say one of them made the neder. Well, there's the big discussion in the Mishnah. If one was muda hanomi chaveiro, lo yikonas l'chotzer, you're not permitted to go in the chotzer. No, he could go in. Based on, so the Ran goes to explain, so what's the chiddush? I mean, Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov already says, the Tanakama, because he doesn't hold the Breira, he holds, so whose domain are you going into? The other person's domain. And since vitur osabab no, so what are we adding? This case, the answer is this case is not adding anything. It's only because what the upcoming case. Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov em yochel ikonis. Lomad toch sheli anichas. Ve'ini nichnas toch shaloch. This is the point. The kofinis had no der limkor shalo. Hear this? What we do is we compel the one who has the share, he can't use the share, we force him to sell his portion. Why? So Ran explains, like that, very interesting concept. Two people own a courtyard in partnership. Each one makes a neder, neither could benefit from the other. So we say, according to Tanakama, neither go into the courtyard. Neither could use the courtyard, because you're using the other person's portion. So therefore, okay, we don't force them to sell. You do what you want, you leave it. But let's say one makes the neder. Let's say there's a question. Ruvain says to Shimon, you cannot benefit from mine. And you hold ein breira, okay? That means Reuven cannot go into the courtyard. There's no time sharing concept. So if he can't come in, so what does he feel? He feels, it's not right. Here we're partners. You use it, and I can't use it. So it's inevitable. He's going to violate the neder. He's going to violate the neder. So because he's going to violate the neder, we're dealing with something here which is a pitfall. It's ready. Something disastrous is going to happen. Therefore, we say to the person who cannot go in, he should sell his portion. And by selling his portion, he has no relevance to the courtyard any longer. Okay? Because he's financially, he's getting rid of whatever he has. Muta mehen hano lo yikonis l'chotzer. Okay? If there was somebody, a stranger, a person unrelated to ownership, he himself was not permitted to benefit. So, of course, he can't come into the chotzer. Rabbi Lezim Yaakovim yocholo lomar l'toch shel chavercha nichnas. V'ani nichnas ve'nich l'toch sheloch, meaning during the time sharing, he's not permitted to benefit from Shimon, but he's permitted to benefit from Ruvain. So, according to Rabbi Lezim and Yaakov, when let's say he comes during Ruvain's period of time, not Shimon's period. The man says, you know something? I'm not in your domain. I'm in Reuven's domain. He's permitted. Again, what's the chiddush? It's the same. We'll see. The Ran. Hamuda no mechaveri yishlo merchotz ubeisabad muskorim beir. Here, a person is not permitted to benefit from Reuven, and now Reuven owns a bathhouse, and he rented it out to Levi. Okay, Shimon's not permitted to benefit from Reuven, and now Reuven, the bathhouse owner, initially rented out his bathhouse to Levi. So who's actually running the bathhouse? Levi. So the question is, so the actual ownership belongs to Reuven. Actually the proceeds of the bathhouse are going to Levi because he rented it. So is Shimon permitted to use the bathhouse, although the bathhouse belongs to Reuven? Right? That's, this would be similar. This would be similar, which it's not similar. If, let's say, I rent an apartment, landlord says you cannot benefit from my asset. Now the landlord rents out an apartment. Now he has the tenant. Could the person who is not permitted to benefit from the landlord, could he go into the tenant's apartment? Same idea, right? Is he permitted? If you say when you rent it, it's like it's his, so he's not going to his. Or do we say no, that since you only have a right to it, but factually the other person said it would be similar, but there's a difference, because we'll see in a moment. Or he has a press, an olive press. You hear this? If the landlord gets a percentage of the proceeds, I rented out, you paid. I pay you $1,000 a month. I don't want to know about you. I have a 10-year lease. The landlord is irrelevant. Then we say the person is permitted to go. But let's say the landlord, he gets a certain percentage of the profits. So he's like, to agree, like a silent partner. So when you're going using the bathhouse, you're benefiting from the landlord. He has some degree of hold. The Gemara is going to discuss what are the percentages. Is it a third? Let's say it's a minuscule amount of money he gets. Less than a certain amount. We'll see. It's machlokas. Person makes a net. I will not go into your. I will not. Go into your house. I will not enter into your field. Okay. Let's say now the person he said he wouldn't benefit died, or he sold the field or his house to a third party. Mutter, why? Because he says, Beischa, I will not go into your house. So if he sells the house to a third party, it's not his house any longer. It's not his field any longer. Okay? If he dies, now it's the heirs. It's on the person. It's the ownership. What about, he says, Kone by Zeshani Nechlas? As an unrelated ownership. This house I will not benefit from this house. So therefore the ownership is irrelevant, who owns the house. Right? So there's regardless of the transition of the house or the field, the halach is he's not permitted to go into the house, he's not permitted to go into the field. Because he didn't say I will not benefit from the person, he said I will not benefit from the object. So if it's the same house, it's the same field, you're not permitted. It's irrelevant who owns it or who owned it. Right? That's the Mishnah. Well, the Mishnah said, because we're of the opinion that even though people don't mind, we hold veto. We discussed this yesterday. I make it that you shouldn't benefit from me. Well, people don't consider using your property as an easement as benefit. So if you're of the opinion that veto is osbab, no means it's irrelevant what people value. But factually, it is a benefit. It's like, I do you a favor. I bring you a sitter. Right? That's just being that's basic manners. Did I really benefit from you? So based on proper behavior, it's not benefiting. But for halacha, that's benefiting. So if I made a netter, I can't bring you a sitter. But people don't see that benefit. It's irrelevant. But in fact, it is a benefit. No, the one who I say so and so will not benefit from me, and people don't consider it's a big deal to offer somebody a sitter. But if you made a netter, you're not permitted to bring in the sitter. Same thing. People don't consider walking through my backyard, or let's say my sidewalk. I own the sidewalk. Everybody walks. We don't even think about these things. Doesn't make. But factually, if I could keep you off my sidewalk, and I'll let you walk on my sidewalk, that's called benefit. So based on the laws of Nedarim, you're not permitted to walk on the sidewalk. Right? Okay. Let's see the Ran over here a little bit. What? No. Let's see over here. Okay, over here, the Ran Memvov. We spoke about you have two partners and only one makes a neder versus the other. So we say he's not, based on the machlokas which we had, according to the Chacham, you're not permitted to go into the courtyard even during the other person's time period because ein breiro, and according to Rabbi Yaakov you can. But it says kofin, but you force the person who's not permitted to benefit to sell his share because we're concerned he may actually violate his neder. We'll see. This particular case about going in and not going in, this is totally superfluous because we already stated the case at the beginning of the Mishnah. When you have two partners, each one makes a neder, the Chum say neither go into the courtyard. Why? Because ein breiro. Rabbi Lesman Yaakov says they can't because yesh breiro. Because we say when each one has his time, we say it's his time. That's his right. It's his domain. So what's the chiddush? Elam mishum sefer nokta. Diktoni v'kofin hanoder limkor es chelko. The bezdin compels the one who made the neder. He has to relinquish his share. The dafke shenoda echad mihem mishum dekem diu oser b'chavrei muter. Since he's not permitted and his partner is permitted to use the courtyard, chayshina shema yiskani b'chavero. He'll be jealous. He says, look, I invest as much as him. He uses it. I can't use it. Afhu, the ficha kadesh lo yikoshel, said it should not be a stumbling block. Kofnos alimkor avuk shenodro hano zemizeh. But let's say each one makes a net, neither could benefit. So there's nothing to be envious of. Neither could benefit. The shneim asurin lo chayshinan the kol chad v'chad mizdar b'surei. Each one's careful regarding he's not going to cross the line. You know, it's not easy. Here we have an equal financial investment. I can't use it. You could use it. Ultimately, a person can only deal with it so long. Eventually, he's going to benefit. Now he says something interesting. Now he's discussing something that's not new. He says, a person says, I will not benefit from my asset. Hear this? Let's say we're saying here we force one of the partners to sell. So why are we forcing him to sell? Because if the other person can benefit and he can't benefit, it causes a degree of envy, and ultimately he's going to violate his neder. Okay? What about if both of them are not permitted to benefit? There's no basis for envy. So he said, from this we're able to draw that if a person says, I will not benefit from my assets, do we force him to sell his assets? We don't force him to sell his assets. Why? Because again, if he can't benefit, it's not he could and I can't. It's all limited to myself. The only basis why there's a concern he may violate that because there's envy. But if a person says, I will not benefit from Shimon's assets, I will not benefit from my assets, well, there's no basis for envy. It's only when you have two partners and we both put in the same amount of money, he could benefit, I can't benefit, so that degree of envy will cause him to violate the neder. Okay? Even we say, he's saying a chiddush now. Even Rabbi Lesman Yaakov, based on Breri, you're permitted to go into the courtyard. Because also it isn't envy. Because we say even if Rabbi Lesman Yaakov, you could use it during your time sharing period. If I want to put in a permanent fixture in the courtyard, like my oven, my millstone, you can't do it because it's there continuously. So there's also envy. Right? I could go in during my time period. When you Rashay Yiskane, Viovo, Lazarus came. V'chite Bishlam Rabban Dashile, feel Jesus regel. According to the Chum that he say you're not even permitted to walk in the Ika time of the Shem Yiskane, feel should also be Jesus reg, Haver Mutter, Vem Yod Limchos, Avar Blesman Yaakov, Ma'ich Pasley, be Jesus regel, Yunami Shori, Vimkane Belchavi, Bamor Shechaim, the Akiv Olei. He's asking a good question. He says two people are partners. We'll say, what is the basis of envy? Because you could put your oven there, and I can't put my oven there. You know something, the halach is when two people are partners, the more it goes to more above Basra, if I say, I don't want your oven to be there, I have a right to prevent it. So why is there basis for envy? You understand? If we're partners in time sharing, and we say one partner could keep his oven in the courtyard even during the other time period, therefore it's not a chazaka. Normally, if you take possession, you act like an owner in a domain for 3 years and there's no protest, we say silence is an indication of proof of ownership. So let's say we bought a courtyard in partnership. Now I put my oven permanent in the courtyard, and it's there my time and my partner's time. Would that be an indication that I'm the sole owner of the whole courtyard? The answer is no. Why? Because even though one partner could prevent the other one, but since partners allow one another in a state of partnership to keep the oven there continuously, so keeping the oven there on the continuous basis is not an indication of full ownership. So therefore, the reason why he didn't protest, he wasn't mocher, is not because he transferred it to you. Because that's the way partners behave between themselves. They're agreeable that you can keep your things there, I'll keep my things there. Okay? So he's saying, Ki I gab shutfin ikol mem the came shutfin kai gab lo kapti zila be milsa likuve. He's saying something. He says even though he could stop the partner from keeping his oven there, never that creates envy. You know why? Because by telling me can't, that means he's like, it's not appropriate. What kind of human being are you? Every partner allowed, why aren't you allowing your partner? So therefore, even though halachically he could stop the man, but since factually he won't, that means his partner has greater usage of the courtyard than he does. So even according to Rebbe Lesman Yaakov, there's a degree of envy, and that envy will cause him to violate his neder. That's what he's saying. Tohach seifon benoj lemizel kimno lo mer kim shechaver lo goram lo yisir hu atzmu goram sheno lo me Yaakov chaver midover shena shutfim makpirim bo hilkoch lekuvik seifon milsab doch shreb mamid brechaim iskane bo lo ma ese ken gamoni. Okay. Hoy echem na shukmut no arezli because let's have both lo tonale mishum tona kamed de pshit. Okay. El echem na shuk tzrich lememed lo ashmino rebus Rebbe Lesman Yaakov. Stom khidish Rebbe Lesman Yaakov tonale. Filo echem na shuk ein shut v'yochel akev and yochel akev lefid fanenu tira daiti the filo rebusa the rabbanon tonale. Because Rashba dafka kshu nichnas letzorch. Now he says something interesting. You have a time sharing situation. We say a person from the market can't come in. Right? What does it say in the Mishnah? Cannot, right? Tzimach right, over here. Person wants to come from outside into the courtyard. So the Tanakam says he can't come, Rebbe Lesman Yaakov says he could come. What's the chiddush? So he cites over here Rashba, he can only come into the courtyard during the other person, that's only if he's coming for him. If he's coming for the other person, he's not permitted to come in. That's the Rashba. Because of Rashba, dafkshu nichlatz toch tzorach hashutiv bein shu tzorach l'shutiv o shashutiv tzorach lo fi shachotze koni l'chol echom mehem ufi l'chol bi shetzorach lem av likonis betocho echem nashuk la'atzmo shelo tzorach hashutiv osi shem hiknu zel lezer schotzel Jesus raglim chimik lo sikri osam chol olam. Hear this. The agreement is, for our needs, I have a right. To have strangers coming in, they have no right. So if that's the case, even during my time-sharing period, he has no right to come in. No, we're holding if you hold Vitus Osir. If you hold Vitus Osir, a person may that so-and-so cannot come into the courtyard. And he wants to come in during the period of time that the person is permitted. But that's a chiddush. That's a chiddush. The Rashba is saying a chiddush here. Yeah, but he says he says Avala Rosa Kos B'Chol Inyan Shari Lo Nirli Dvarov. He says he's agreeable with the Rashba. The Ra argues. Okay, let's see the Gemara now. Iboilu. Now, the case of the Mishnah, right? The case of the Mishnah says it says two people are not permitted to benefit from one another. Could you go into the courtyard or not? Now, is it speak? Each one says I will not benefit from you, and the other one says I will not benefit from you, or one says, you cannot benefit from me, and the other one says, you cannot benefit from me. What was the nature of the neder? Reuven and Shimon. Shimon say, I will not benefit from you, Shimon. And Shimon says, I will not benefit from you, Reuven. Is that the case? Or the case is speaking, Reuven says to Shimon, you will not benefit from me. And Shimon said to Reuven, you will not benefit from me. That's the discussion. Iboilu. Noju pligi. Hidiru zezemai. What about if they were only victims of the netter? They didn't make the netter. They were limited because somebody else made. The partner made the netter. Mi amrinam benoju hu de pligi. Avo bihidiru ze modulu rabbanon. Here. But if it was hidiru, even the chacham agree. Modulu Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov, the chesh, loosen dummy, saying something interesting. Like this. Everybody agrees, we'll see it around, yesh breira. So if everybody agrees yesh breira, so if one part says, you cannot benefit from me, I could go in the courtyard. Why? Because when I go in, it's my time. What about if you made the neder? Let's say the person himself made it on himself. He says, I will not benefit from yours. Because you made a neder, something, it's not a good thing to make nedarim. So we penalize you that we don't rely on breira. We'll see in Iran. And Rabbi Lezer says, no, we rely on the halacha of breira. Remember we discussed this yesterday. Breira means we have a courtyard that's not divisible. So we say that although, and I said, we purchase it, we will determine when each of us has the right to use it at a later date. It wasn't predetermined. It's not predetermined, okay? Right. It's not we bought it with such a, that's how we divided initially. Okay? Odilma afil hidiru zeh pligi rabbanon. So let's see the Ran now as he explains the question. Mi amrin ben nodru hu de pligi rabbanon vidiru modo le rabbanon Rabbi Yaakov. He's a claimer. Dilma kulu svirulu yesh breira. Even the Chacham agree that we say yesh breira. Even though it's not predetermined, to be determined is good enough. Time sharing, your time is your time, my time is my time. Everybody agrees to that. Afil ben nodru shari. El v'drabanan sarvi katzinlu. But the Chacham say we penalize the person. If a person makes the netter himself, that means you created a problem. If somebody says you can't benefit from me, so the one who's affected, he didn't create the problem. Right? Somebody else created the problem. With partners. So when we buy it, we both go in, and I make an error. I will not benefit from you. Now, who created the problem? The one who made the netter. What about if we buy it and my partner says to me, you will not benefit from me? You can't blame the person. Did he create the problem? He didn't create. We rely on the Torah law. We say breira. He could go in during his timeshare period. It's my timeshare. I go in. But if you made the netter, which you created a problem, so you know something, if we're not going to rely rabbinically, we're going to penalize you. We're not going to let you use the courtyard. We're not going to rely on time sharing. Rabbi Lezer Tzogad lo kansinan av bihidiru lo shach kanoser. Shari midiri yishbrei v'asya ho v'lo kravino duki pluktayu shoshan of zabar di yishbrei embrei odilmo bihidiru nam pligi rabbanu chsvar de ravino hosam. Okay. So that's our question. Now, what do you want to say? Okay, further. Toshma, we'll bring a proof from the Mishnah. It says, if one person was mudar hano from chavero, he wasn't permitted, meaning his partner said, you can't come into the courtyard. It says, we compel the person to sell it. Right? It says in the Mishnah, we don't let him go in, according to the Chacham. But if the word is mudar, what does mudar mean? Mudar means you're only a victim. But if you're telling me that the Chacham agree when you're only a victim, we rely on breira, what does it say in the Mishnah that he's not permitted to go in? So evidently we see clearly that what's the argument? That even when you're not the cause of the problem, you're not permitted to go in. The answer is why? Because ain't breira. Because unless it's predetermined, we don't rely on what eventually is going to be done. We don't rely on that. So the Gemara says, no, tini nodur michavero. It should not be read mudar. Mudar means you were affected by someone else, but you made the netter. Hano, hochanam istabra. He says it makes sense. Why? Because it says kofin es hano de limkor es chelko. We compel the one who made the netter to sell his portion. Iyam Rabbi Shloma the noder who, if you created the problem, so there's envy involved. Of course, there's envy. He's not at fault. I mean, how could you fault a man? Somebody else doesn't allow me to go into court. You force me to sell out my portion. Am I kofin also? He was put in this predicament. Omer Rabbo, Omer Ziri. Rabbi says names. Now the question is, when we're arguing the Mishnah, you have to read these runs here. Are we speaking about a courtyard that's divisible, or the courtyard is not divisible? That's our question. Machlokes. So Rabbi says, name of Ziri, Machlokes. Machlokes b'sheyesh bo din chalukah. The Chacham and Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov were arguing the courtyard is divisible, but they didn't yet divide it. Yeah? Or do you say yesh breira, ein breira? Avol ein bot ke chalukah divrei kol mutter. If it's not divisible, everybody agrees, we say breira. As the Ran explained, we'll see the Ran here. If you remember, let's talk about the principle over again, review it. You have 100 gallons in a barrel of wine. Person says 2 pints or 2 gallons should be truma. Motzoi Shabbos. So when is the truma effective? Now. When will it be revealed which? At a later time. So the question is, since it's not identified what you're affecting, is that effective? Is that effective? So if you hold ein breira, we say no, that you can't affect something unless you know what you're affecting. And since it's only later to be revealed, you're not affecting it. Therefore, you can't drink the wine. The other one says no. Even though it's not revealed when you're affecting it, to be determined is good enough. That's yesh breira. So let's say you have a courtyard, divisible courtyard. It's 100 amos by 100 amos. Each one receives 50. When we buy it, it says, we will divide it to be determined. And they make a netter one to another. Now the question is, which is my portion? Is portion to the right or to the left? That original agreement is not what? Is not sufficient. That the way you purchased it, it's not. You didn't purchase your piece, and I purchased my piece. To affect it to that degree means we own everything. So if we own everything, what does that mean? That means when I go into it, I'm going into yours, and you're going into mine, right? But it's choseh she'ein bo din chalukah. We know exactly what you're purchasing. Because after everything's said and done, it's this object, it's this location. It's only a question when we're going to use the location. There, everybody agrees, you say yesh breira. When you don't know what you're affecting, then we have an argument. Is that effective or not? It's 100 amos. 1,000 feet, you get 500, I get 500. So which 500 is mine? So since it wasn't clear when you affected it, it's ineffective. Therefore, you can't go into any part of it. Because that original agreement is not an agreement to be determined. But if you have a 6 by 6 amos courtyard, which is not divisible, so how do we divide it? Only by usage. So I know exactly where does my ownership lie in this location. Everybody agrees in that case, we say yesh breira. Therefore, if that's the case, both of us can use it. That's Rabbah in the name of Ziri. Okay? No, everybody agrees. 100 by hammer, that's where we have the argument. That's the argument. But if it's not divisible, it's definitely this location, everybody agrees, you say breira. We hold we hold like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. We'll see. Rav Yosef argues. We come out. The machlokas in the Mishnah is ein bo din chalukah. Meaning it's 6 by 6. It's not divisible. But we still rule like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. Yesh breira. So that's how we differentiate. That's he answers the Ran. The Gemara throughout Shas is speaking with the barrel of wine. That's ein breira. But since over here, I definitely know what I'm acquiring because the courtyard is not divisible. Therefore, we rule yesh breira. That's how the Ran explains it. Right, but he'll give you other cases. There are other cases similar to this. Okay? Like you have the Gemara is going to ask like a Beis HaKnesses. Amalei Rav Yosef, Rav Beis HaKnesses. The chmi she'ein bo k'dei chalukah, dummy. You tell me everybody agrees that if it's not divisible, everybody agrees you say yesh breira. Eish, you have a shul. It says if two people say, Reuven says to Shimon, you cannot benefit from me, and now you have a communal shul. That means everybody's a partner in the shul. Could you go in the shul? If you tell me everybody agrees when it's not divisible, you can go in the shul, right? But yet we find that they argue regarding the shul, the same argument. According to the Chachamim, you're not permitted to go into the shul. Because by going to the shul, the other person, he has an interest in the shul. But if you tell me the shul is like the courtyard, that's not divisible, right? Because it all functions as one entity, right? You don't divide a shul. A shul functions as a shul, regardless how large the shul is, right? Let's say the sanctuary area. And yet it says there's an argument whether you're permitted to go into shul or not. But the case of the shul is the equivalent of Chotz Hashem Bodin Chalukah. A courtyard, it's meant to divide, right? Ultimately, we divide it. You have a shul that has 100 seats, 1,000 seats. That's the shul. You're not going to make two shuls out of one shul. So when we purchased it, how did we purchase it? In what context? The function is one entity. I'll have my seat, you'll have your seat. So what do we have the ownership in? It's a time sharing in the function as one entity. That's his question. Hari Besnes is the Misha Ein Din Chalukah. Utanat Shnei Masurin. B'dov Shol Seir. If it's a communal shul belonging to that particular village, it's not a shul that belongs to the world at large. It's that particular village. We're all partners. And says, therefore, according to the Chacham, you cannot go into the shul. Elam Rav Yosef, Om Ziri, see, quote Ziri differently. Machloka she'ein bo din chalukah. Where do they argue? Where it's not divisible. The chutzner is not a divisible chutzner. It's 6 by 6. Avol yesh bo din chalukah. But if it's a large chutzner, 1,000-foot chutzner, it's fair. Everybody agrees, Divrei Kolosa. That's because that's ein breira. That's what we rule ein breira, and that's the conclusion. Om Rafuna Om Rav, halocha kreb lezman Yaakov. We rule like Reb Lezman Yaakov. Each person is permitted to go in during his time period. That's the conclusion of the Gemara. In a courtyard, that's not divisible. And Reb Loza rules this also. We rule like Reb Lezman Yaakov. We have to see the Ran how he explains it phenomenally well. Now, you have a little lack of clarity here. Again, you have a courtyard that the only way you could divide is time sharing. The small one. That Rav Yosef says that's what the question is, do you say yesh breira or not? Only in that case. If it would be divisible, everybody would agree ein breira. Even Reb Lezman Yaakov would hold you can't go into the courtyard. That would be the equivalent of the gallons, 100 gallons in a barrel, because you don't know which gallon you're affected. Which part of the courtyard is mine? I'm not sure which is mine. When we purchased it, which is mine? I don't know which is mine. But if you have a 6 by 6 courtyard, I know exactly what's mine. This courtyard is mine. When am I going to use it? That's another discussion. When am I going to use it? But what am I purchasing? This. If you have a 1,000-foot courtyard, am I purchasing the 500 amos to the north or the 5 to the south? I'm not sure what I'm purchasing. That's where everybody agrees, ein breira. Ein breira, ein breira, ein breira. That was the question. We rule throughout Shas, ein breira. And here we say yesh breira. That's the conclusion of Reb Lezman Yaakov. How do we reconcile two? So that's how the Ran makes the differentiation. When you don't know what you're purchasing, only to be disclosed later, it's not effective. But here I know exactly what I'm purchasing. This courtyard, it's only a question, when am I usage rights? That's yesh breira. That's, we rule like Reb Lezman Yaakov, we say yesh breira. We do, with a courtyard that can't be divided. No, then you don't say it. Then we say ein breira. We don't say later it's huradov, I'm afraid. We don't say that. And that's why neither are permitted to go into the courtyard. Of course, if you say hover, that means I'm going in my time and you're going your time. Yeah, no, if you do it, it's not effective. You're not permitted to drink the wine. You can do what you want, but you can't drink the wine. What you did is ineffective. You cannot drink the wine. It's not considered you tithe the wine. You have to do a new tithing. You have to do a new tithing after Shabbat. Right? It's not effective. Same thing. We're buying it. 50% is mine, 50% is yours, and we'll determine later whose is what. There's no such thing. Because when you affect it, you have to know what you're affecting. You don't know what you're affecting. Okay? Okay, let's see the Ran on top. We have time. We'll finish the blot. Machlos v'sheish bodin chalukah. The Rabbanan Asri mishum desavri ein breira v'lo aminu huver kishmishtamesh the gufa chotzer koni lo l'tashmisho. We don't say that. To be determined that when each one uses it, that means that's his portion. Shum the kevon sheish bodin chalukah shnas kiniyosan Lo huver shei rashoy zel lishtamish b'chelik zeh the shema lo yovo lechalko. You know what he's saying? He's saying something very interesting. Svara. So Asrim should be saying ein breve. Lo min huvra dov shemshtamish the mishtamish the gufa chotze koni lo tashmishum mishum the cave and sheish bodin chaluka b'shas kni oson lo huvra. So when they purchased it, it wasn't clear. Shei rashoy lishtamish b'chevek zeh the shema lo yov lechalko. Yet he's saying phenomenal. You mean like this? What about we make an agreement? Norman, it's very important. We make a 1,000 by 1,000 foot chotzer, and we purchase it. That when we buy it, it should never ever be divided. Let's say that's the way they would purchase it. You know, that courtyard is the equivalent of a 6 by 6 courtyard. So that means the only way we could use this courtyard is only time sharing. Because there was a precondition to the purchase. It's only, let's say you want a football field. A football. You know, football field has to be a minimum size. Well, you know, but if you realize if we do this, use this for to store vessels, you could make it to 20 storage areas. But it's not. We purchased it for a football field. That means, what is its function? As one said, the question is, when do you use it? When do I? Well, Sunday you use it. Monday I'll use it as the football field. In that case, everybody would agree again. You say yesh breira. So what he's saying like this: even if we buy a very large location, originally our intent is to use it as one field. You'll use it Sunday. I'll use it Monday. It's irrelevant what the intent was. Since factually, ultimately, we could divide, legally we're not bound to stay to use it in time sharing. We can actually divide the property. Therefore, as a result of that, it's unclear what you bought. You understand? You know, originally the agreement was, we're now locked into the agreement. You'll use it Sunday, we'll use it, to be determined which days we'll use it. Okay? The halacha is you can't use it. Because factually, legally, you could divide this property. So factually, whose is what? It's unclear whose is what. No, but that's what it said. No. If you said, but personal obligation, it could never be divided. That's like a 6 by 6 property. Here it's just understand, since possibly they could, even though originally they didn't intend to divide it. We have a phenomenal relationship. We've been partners for the past 40 years. Do I know in 10 years we may have a fight, we're going to divide? We may divide it. So if that's the case, so it is divisible. So what do you really own? You only own 50%. It's not an entity which only functions as one entity. It can function as two entities. Okay? But a 6 by 6 courtyard can only function in every circumstance as one entity. It always has to be time sharing. There's no other way to do it. Therefore, that's what Rabbi Lesman Yaakov says. We say yesh breira. Okay? Abol, ein bodin chaluk divya kol mutter. This is according to Rabbi. Shem dekayim de bodin chaluk v'adova yudua shel olam tamod b'shutfis. It always v'sheyesh rishus kol echad mehem lishtamish bo kol shoshi yirtzeh. So, and how is it possible? It can't be used by both of them simultaneously. Each of us could use it any time we want. So, what does that mean from get-go? That means we have to make an arrangement. A time arrangement, a day arrangement, but factually, there's no way we both use it. So what is it? The majority of what we own is known from the very start. We all own the whole thing. Now we just have to determine when we're going to use it. Like I explained earlier, other breira is it these 2 gallons, those 2 gallons, some other gallons. Right? You inherit property. Which part of the estate is mine? Right? You don't know. It could be Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda in terms of inheritance. So Rav Yosef says to Rabbi, but Beis HaKnesses, the Chami she'ein bo chaluk adomi, Tanan shneim asurim, Dov sheish oseir, Forsh v'osil, the Dov shel oseir go Beis HaKnesses. You have a shul. Now how does a shul function? A shul is not meant to be divided ever. So if that's the case, and yet it says, according to the Chacham, you can't go into the shul. Right? If you say they're wrong, even in that case, you say this is going like the Chacham, that's why you can't go into the shul. Avol Eli Amri the B'chotzim but the Chaluka Divrei Kol Muter Mastisna Man from Rabbi. So who do we attribute the opinion that you're not able to go into the shul? Right? Elom Rav Yosef Amazir Machlok Shem B'din Chaluka. That's the Machlokas. They're arguing in a courtyard that cannot be divided. The Rabbanon Tzava Afil V'chi Ha Ein Breiro. Rav Lezer Sovar came the Efshel Le'echon Min Nashuvut L'Akiv V'Schavir L'Shtamish Bo L'Olam. Since neither could stop the other one, I have to have usage at some time of the whole entity. Because that was the original agreement. Rabbi says, oh, you're true, by the barrel of the wine or a large courtyard, I agree with you, Ein Breira. But in this, because it's clear from day one. This entity will always function as one entity, because it's not divisible. Small courtyard. But if it be a large courtyard, even Rabbi Lezer ben Yaakov would agree you cannot go in the courtyard, because it's unclear. Bishum the came the Chodzu la Chaluki Omeres. Yevshel Loma shebitchilo kanu kulo kol echod letashmisho. The Shemo echod Yokov Schavero. Right? Hilkoch afilu Rebbe and Yaakov Asurin. They have everybody would agree if they make a matter, neither could go into the courtyard. It's clear. Yes, you got it. Okay, now. It has to be no. You need 8 by 8. Dalet Amos is the minimum for usage of a courtyard. It's Gemara Bava Basra. So if you have less than 8, that's not divisible. So that means it could only be utilized and function as one entity. It's not a divisible entity. 4 by 4 amos. That's 6 by 6 feet. Each person has to have that minimally that size. It's less than that. So that if it's less than 12 by 12, that's not divisible. Of course, the only way you could use that is through time sharing. Let's not make count. We buy a courtyard. It's 4 by 4, 6 by 6. If you divide a courtyard 6 amos in half, that means each one gets 3. 3 is not functionable. So it's worthless. So if we purchase something that was meant to be used, it can only be used as one entity. Okay, that's the rationale. Okay, just take another moment. Koser Rajbazal lomi boy kodem chaluka. The Asurim, elafil achaluka nami Asurim. The lekame came shechelko, huvra dovan mafrei shechelki migel shavishona, lesser elchelko di hochi avalei breiruk shabres dalmo the rice breiruk. He said like this. Let's say originally we say when the courtyard, we buy a courtyard that's divisible, neither go into the courtyard. Let's say we decide we're going to divide. We're going to divide. After we divide it, this you take this. Could I go into the courtyard? Could I now go into the portion after we agreed? You can't go into it. Why? Because since initially our agreement was not, maybe I'm taking you a piece, right? You're following? If I say I will not go into your house, right? I will not benefit from your house, and you sell the house to a third party, so it's no longer your house, right? But as long as it's called your house, I'm not permitted to go in. So let's say we have this divisible courtyard. So we say that you said you have 50 and I have 50. It means nothing what we said, because since initially it was not determined what you were acquiring. It's unclear whose is what. Everything belongs to both of us. So when we divide, what does that mean? It's yours. It's like you selling me your house. Let's say I said I will not go into your house. Then you sell me the house. Am I permitted to go in the house? I'm not permitted, because I'm directly going into your house. You sold it to me. It's not where it went to a third party. So therefore, the Rashba says, even if we divide, factually, the half I have, whose half is it? Or was it? It's the first person's half. You can't go with that half, even after it's divided. You need to pass through a third party. It's called somebody else's. When you divide it, it's not called somebody else's. It went from Reuven and went straight to Shimon. And therefore, you're not permitted to benefit from it. That's what he says. Where is it over here? Yeah. The Omar Ach Shecholkul the Kucha saying very kilu lochem imenu. Less than fi lochem imenu asur kedamino leil gabi kikri. The Omar Alecho the Abagav the Yavi Nel Matona Kolechel lo Afseke Acher Osem Chiran Harik Matona Kodem Beischoshin Nichma Shodchen right. Right. Zed Das Rajba. Of a Rambam, the Rambam argues. Rambam says after they divide, you could benefit from it. Why? So he has the friendship between. I said, this my loaf of bread you cannot not benefit from. So if he sells loaf to a third party, then he could take the loaf. But if he gives it directly to him, can't have the loaf. Okay? So we're saying of a Rambam Zal Kosa Perikzayim Hashneim Shutim Chotzer Im Yesh Bodin Chaluk Hareilu Asun Likodes Ba'achi Yachluku until they divide. Because Kol Echad L'Chelk Almo Svirleit Zed Lachaluka Shar nearly timos. So what's the rationale? Because how do you differentiate between that and the cake? The Abagat Kam the Rai saying Afiloch Anet Sari Sham Naskin Shtatu Shluchal Echad Mehen the Osra Chaver Binyin Shein the Ser Solov Lacha Chaluka Hochi. So he's saying now, if we buy a piece of property that's meant to be divided, even though it's unclear, there's no way we agree to buy it where I can't use it. As it's one entity, okay, I'm using yours, you're using mine, whatever it is. But if it's ultimately, it's meant to be divided, nobody's wasting his money over here. So if that's the case, the agreement was, you have no right to limit me. See, the Ran explained earlier, a shibud, if it's only a lien, if you hold ein breira, a hegdish could revoke a lien. We have a right. Ownership, you can't prohibit something that's mine. So if we both put money in, the property is meant to be divided, that means the agreement was your netter cannot deny me what's rightfully mine. But if we say after dividing I can't benefit, that means your netter is denying me. You can't deny me. That's what we call Eino Demosa Davashen Shalom. You can't affect me. Therefore, that's the reason once it's divided, I could fully benefit from it. If I give you my cake, I can't give it to you because the cake I'm giving is yours. You have no right in the cake. You have the right to the cake because I gave it to you. So that's called you're benefiting from my cake. My house. It's my house. I give you my house as a gift. It's my house. But here they both invested. There was a joint investment on a piece of property. I invested that ultimately I should have the property. So if your net is going to deny me my investment, you can't because it's mine. That's the reason why the Ram holds that. Once it's divided, you're able to benefit from the piece you received. Okay, the rest is the Svara. That's what he says. The Svara. I just take 2 seconds, just get the end of the page. Person makes a netter, and the person owned a bathhouse, and he rented it out to somebody leased it. So now it says if the landlord has a percentage of the profits, you can't go in, even though it's rented out to a person who runs the bathhouse. Commentators, he gets 50% of the profits, a third of the profits, a quarter of the profits of a botze low. But if it's less than a quarter, it's called, that's negligible. That's not called, it's like, comes out, if you have, let's say you have a corporation that the controlling interest is Jews, it becomes problematic. So let's say you want to lend money to a corporation with interest. So if the controlling ownership are Jews, you can't take interest from that corporation because they're Jews. But let's say the controlling interest are non-Jews. So then it's considered the loan is to Goyim. You can take interest from those people. Same thing, Chom Shov LaPesach. You have a corporation, General Mills. You have people who have stock. Since the majority of stock is not owned by Jews and the controlling interests are not Jews, there's no problem. You have chametz. You're not possessing the chametz. The goyim have the chametz. You don't have the chametz. You have many things on that. Same thing. Anything less than a quarter profit, that's not called you control anything. That's not considered I benefit from you. Even though you have a profit, I'm not benefiting. That's not called, you're considered like non-existence in terms of ownership. Once Omar Rav Nachman, right? Omar Abayoma Afilu Botzer. No, any amount of ownership, that's called I'm benefiting you. Also, so what would be a situation where he would be permitted to use the bathhouse? The Makabel Betasko. What's Makabel Betasko? Yeah. Meaning, he doesn't get a percentage of profits. No, he gives them a flat rate for the year. That even though I have a right to collect from you because using it doesn't make a difference. But factually, who has full control, who gets full profits? That you pay me, that you're paying a fee. But who am I benefiting from? I'm benefiting from the one who's leasing it. If I'm permitted to be continued.